Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Nanda Rajneesh. I practice in Apollo Spectra and Sakra World Hospital. Basically, I practice cancer surgery and general surgery. So, I'm here to speak on a topic called lifestyle and cancer prevention. We all know that cancer is a lifestyle related disease. So, now over a period of time, according to World Health Organization, biggest epidemic is lifestyle related disease. Yes, of course. Recently, we've had the COVID being a largest epidemic, but otherwise, we were actually facing more of lifestyle related diseases. What are these lifestyle diseases? These are all chronic diseases. The individual suffers from these diseases because we follow certain pattern of lifestyle. What is lifestyle? What we do in 24 hours: eating, sleeping, walking, working. So, how we do it, setting our own body biological clock, is going to decide how we are going to maintain our own body, because we know that our body is a kind of a machine, and this machine requires regular repair, and it also requires regular the care to be taken, like how we take care of our cars every day, vehicles. So our body itself is a machine, it needs to be taken care. So it is multiple machines also in our body. There are different organs, there are different systems. Each of these systems have a definitive function, and these are under the influence of many hormones, many nutrients, and many functions, hormones, so many activities going on in all these organs. So in the process, they start developing abnormal cells, so that we call it cancer. So now what has happened, this formation of abnormal cell is happening round the clock in our body, uh, our full lifetime. But we have our own immune system to kill these abnormal cells. So when these abnormal cells don't get killed, they can multiply into increasing in number of cells, and they can also spread to different parts of the body. So we call it cancer. So, what is exactly cancer? Cancer is nothing but excessive growth of an abnormal cells. Means the cell is not normal and it is excessively growing and it is spreading. Why does this happen? I kept saying this, it can happen. Why does this happen? So, we will go through why it happens first, and how different organs in our body can get affected with cancer, like breast, cervix, gut system, GI system, prostate, oral cavity. So, different organs in the body, they can get cancers like lungs. So, they have different reasons in each organ. So, I'll take you through that. Okay. So, what exactly is cancer? The normal cell can multiply and it can become abnormal, and then these abnormal cells again keep increasing in numbers, and they can keep spreading to different parts of the body. That is cancer. Currently, the 12% of the deaths worldwide is due to cancer. So we should know this. And approximately in 20 years' time, there has been tremendous increase in number of cancer patients. We are seeing that. Maybe because we are living longer, because we are living longer, abnormal cell formation also is increasing in our body. And this because as we age, we know that there is exposure to a lot of viruses, a lot of chemicals, change in the lifestyle, excessive work, that 24 bar 7, all this is causing damage. So because we are also living longer, over a period of time, excessive cancer cells are forming. Now, common sites of cancer, especially in India, is oral cavity, lungs, esophagus, stomach, and cervix and breast. Uh, and in famous, cervix and breast is very, very common. Now, earlier, treating patients was considered to be treating some diseases, but now contemporary medicine is no longer just an art and science of diagnosis and treatment, but it is also prevention of diseases. In our Veda also, it talks about a lot about prevention of diseases and keeping our health good through lifestyle. What keeps our health good? Now, screening of the cancers have been devised according to what exactly causes cancer and how we are preventing diseases. So, screening is what? Screening is that we screen the normal patient who is already not a cancer patient, and then these tests has to be very simple test for that particular organ, and we have to follow a particular pattern, okay, of doing these tests, and that has to be very simple, cheap, and it has to be able to pick up the disease easily. The sensitivity and specificity also has to be as high as possible with these tests. So we have established screening for certain cancers, but many cancers we have not established. Now, every cancer, is it genetic? Yes. Every cancer cell has to have a genetic changes within itself to become a cancerous cell. But the pre-existing genetic change, it acts as a loaded gun, because some patients with a family history, let us say mother, father, somebody is suffering from cancer, a daughter or a son, they can get certain cancers. We'll talk about what are exactly a genetic or a familial cancers later, but these these contribute only to 15% of the population, but that means 85% of the people develop cancer because there is some environmental influence. That means there is some external influence that actually influences the abnormal cell to get converted into a cancer cell, a normal cell, abnormal cell, and a cancer cell. Cancer cell does not develop over a period of time. It takes time. It can be in two-stage process or three-stage processes. Okay, so there is a precancerous stage, and then there is a cancer stage. There is a high risk factors also which can influence cells in the body to become cancerous. Now I'll take you through what can cause cancers. We know commonly that yes, smoking can cause cancer, alcoholism can cause cancer, obesity can cause cancers, vitamin D deficiency can cause cancer, viruses can cause cancer, toxins can cause cancer. So we know the causes already. But I will take you through what exactly is the reason for each of these activities can cause cancer. So these are called nothing but a risk factor. Let us say an individual smokes, that means there's a high nicotine toxin. Nicotine is getting converted into a toxic product in our body, and that is going to irritate many cells in the body, from lung cells to liver cells to many organ cells in our body. So this is the reason that smoking not only causes damage to the cells and causing abnormality in those cells, it can also highly irritate them and convert the pre-existing abnormal cells into cancer cells easily. That means it helps in initiation of a cancer, promotion of a cancer, and progression of cancer. So as I said, cancer cells have different stages. It may take slow to grow into cancer cell, but because if you're smoking, it may become very fast progression. Then also, oral cancer can come because of eating tobacco, which can be highly irritant in your oral cavity, and it can irritate the cells in the oral cavity directly, not just the nicotine, but also that the cud, the areca nut and the cud and the betel nut that you eat with calcium phosphate, that sunna we call it in Kannada. If you keep that, that can again irritate and it can cause cancer in the oral cavity. And tobacco can cause nasal cancers, mouth cancers, esophagus cancer, lung cancer, take every organ in the body, stomach cancer, pancreas cancer, bowel, bladder, kidney, so many organs it can affect. So next is alcohol. We know that alcohol does cause cancer by direct damage to cells. That is, the intestine cancers, bowel cancers can come because alcohol can be highly irritant, can cause esophageal cancer and stomach cancers. And so like, I know people who drink alcohol, they like to say, alcohol has got a lot of good effects also, but that is in only low doses. When you take in high concentration and every day, then it's not good for you. So it can damage many cells in the body, direct damage. It can increase the damage from the tobacco also. The damage to tobacco, that means alcoholism and smoking, if they're both present together, it can increase the damage again. It affects hormones linked to the breast, in the breast itself. So alcohol, what it does is it has to get metabolized in the liver. So a lot of raw material that is needed for immune system in the body and for hormone production in the body, that is consumed due to alcoholism, and that can indirectly cause promotion of the cancer. Okay. And also the alcohol and tobacco, as I said, can break into certain chemicals and it can affect many normal cells to get irritated and genetic change to happen inside the cell. So next is obesity. Obesity, how does obesity means being fat, how can it cause cancer? I see in my clinical practice as a breast surgeon, 80% of the women are actually obese when I see them. Okay, so there is a huge, strong link between cancer, especially breast cancer and pancreatic cancer, between obesity and the cancers. These two cancers, but you can see gallbladder cancer, esophageal cancer in obese people, and endometrial and colorectal cancers in obese. So, how does obesity cause cancer? One is obesity, fat cell is known to suppress the normal cell function itself. By surrounding the normal cell is becoming fatigued, and the basic metabolic rate is automatically reduced in obesity. Next is fat cells is known to produce certain factors which are highly irritant in the body, interleukin like factors. And fat cell is also known to produce estrogen like factor. Estrogen like factor is a hormone which can irritate the breast cells to cause breast cancer. So this is how the obesity can cause cancers. So, and exercise and reducing weight is very helpful, which I will discuss in the end about how lifestyle exactly can prevent cancer in overall. So what are these hereditary cancers? Hereditary means there are certain genes in our body, like BRCA genes in breast cancer and ovarian cancers. These genes are already abnormally present by birth. So that means there is already some amount of initiation of the abnormal genes in our body. Even in colon cancer, you can see that in some families. And these abnormal genes are already present in the body. That is, initiation is already present. The promotion progression again is dependent on the lifestyle itself. That means even if you have an abnormal gene in your body, the progression to cancer can be suppressed just by changing your lifestyle. And now what I will do is I'll take you through the different cancers in our body. But before that, I like to say that whenever cancer happens, it doesn't grow in overnight or overnight. I said that. That means there is an abnormal cell formation first due to influence of the high risk factors, then it progresses. So more number of abnormal cells, and then more chance that one of them can become. That means it is a bullseye, like, if you have a larger bullseye, the arrow can hit easily. So but if the bullseye is very small, abnormal cells are very small in number, our own body can take care of the killing of that abnormal cell. How our body takes care of killing, we'll talk in the end. Let me take you through breast cancer now. In India, 1 out of every 2 women are diagnosed with breast cancer dies of the disease. That means if I have 2 patients coming to me with breast cancer, one of them will die of the disease very soon. The reason being, we are diagnosing these breast cancers very late. This is the reason we are trying to do a lot of promotional activities so that you become aware of your breast and do regular checkup of this organ. See, breast is nothing but a simple organ that sits on the chest wall. Yes, it has its own functions, but this can get diseased very fast in the form of cancer, and it can be dangerous. It can kill you if you come at a late stage. So we have to be aware of what changes that can happen in the breast that could be telling us, oh, could this be a cancer? Any change in the size and shape of the breast, inverted nipple, rash in and around the nipple, discharge from one or both the nipples, puckering or dimpling of the skin, swelling in the armpit, swelling in the breast, and constant pain in the breast and the armpit, you have to be really aware. Okay, swelling, but not all swelling of breast cancers. You should know that, because suddenly I see a lot of women know they feel it and they feel a lump and they say, oh, I feel some lump, doctor, and I may be having cancer. No, out of 10 lumps, only one could be cancerous, but you don't know which one. So I have to evaluate all those 10 patients. So always visit the doctor as soon as you feel you have a lump. And there are certain risk factors for breast cancer. So a lot of patients do come to me with precancerous conditions. They also come with just a breast pain. That breast pain could be because of something called fibrocystic disease of the breast. So there are these are the risk factor. There are the risk factors in breast cancer can be modifiable risk factors and non-modifiable risk factors. What are these modifiable risk factors? Modifiable risk factor being overweight, you can reduce the weight, right? You're drinking alcohol, you can reduce alcohol intake. You're taking oral contraceptive, you can reduce oral contraceptive. You're vitamin D deficient, because risk factor for breast cancer is vitamin D deficiency. So you can correct your vitamin D deficiency. You have a fibrocystic disease of the breast. You can monitor yourself and you can take vitamin E and suppress the changes that are happening in the breast. So these are all modifiable risk factors. That means these are all lifestyle related risk factors if you see. But there are non-modifiable risk factors, because you and me, we have a large breast, and women can get breast cancer. Being women itself is one of the risk factor that cannot be modified. And aging, as I become old, I have some risk of getting breast cancer that cannot be changed. Race, family history, personal history, and early menstruation. So these are all non-modifiable risk factors. So as I said, in breast cancer, especially, let us say there is what is breast? Breast is nothing but it has got nipple, areola, and inside there are multiple lobules and the ducts. Okay, and in between the lobules and the duct there is a fat tissue. So these lobules will have a functional cells. This functional cell uh, is influenced by many hormones. Okay, so when hormone is coming from your own body and it is a normal hormone, nothing will happen. Okay, it just maintains the breast in a good healthy function and a good proliferative and differentiation phase. But when there is imbalance in proliferation and differentiation, so all these imbalances keep in our body also, in many parts of our body, in different organs, there is always balance from one side to another side. Okay, let us say if I don't have enough raw material in my body has capacity to take from somewhere else, but that will cause imbalance somewhere else. So we all know this is called yin yang theory. This is one of the Chinese theory, that there is a balance and imbalance in our body. So this risk some of the risk factors can make the cells in the breast abnormal cells. These are benign proliferative changes, we call it. Then from benign proliferative changes, it can get converted into atypical hyperplasia. From atypical hyperplasia, it can get converted into ductal carcinoma in situ. This is a precancerous condition, and then it can become invasive cancer. See, if you see, the breast is going into different phases of cancer itself, though not like overnight. It does, there is two hit theory here, like one is precancerous condition, then it becomes cancerous condition. So we can tackle breast cancers and cervical cancers, many cancers in early stages itself. If you know there is atypical hyperplasia, we know what to do. If there's a benign proliferative changes, we know what to do. So recently what has happened is these benign breast diseases, that is precancerous high risk factor, is present in the breast in lot of young girls. The reason being, we don't know, is it because of vitamin D, B12 deficiencies being very, very high, or is it because foods containing a lot of toxins, or is it because of some toxins accumulating in the breast, or is it because of milk that contains vasopressin and oxytocin like hormones? Because what is happening, the cows are injected the hormones to give more milk, and that hormone is also coming in the milk, and it is external hormone stimulating our breast to proliferate. Okay, this is basically supposed to only proliferate the proliferate and differentiate the cows, but it can affect our own body. This is called exogenous hormone. Recently I have published a paper on role of exogenous hormones in bringing the breast changes, and once the changes in the breast happen, it is a precancerous condition. So we have to be really aware of what kind of milk we are giving to our children, especially girl children. Next is breast screening benefits are very high. As I said, we are still seeing one of the two in advanced breast cancers. Screening is going to detect breast cancers at an early stage. Also, it is going to reduce the mortality. Death is going to be reduced, and we bring the patients to treatable stage. It also brings awareness to common population. If I keep screening one building containing 200 people, then all 200, there's something going on. I should also look for my breast, something is going on. So I still remember one of the TV anchors, I was giving a lecture like this, and next day after that live interview, she just went and felt like checking herself, and she had a cancerous lump at that time. So this is just by talking about it, you bring a lot of awareness to us. So we should know that. So what is this screening? Screening is nothing but one is self-breast examination. Every month, all of us have to do one particular day. You can choose whichever day you want. Do with a flat of hand sitting and lying down position first. And also touch with the finger only when you feel the lump. Otherwise, feel with the flat of hand. Also look for all the changes that I told previously. Look for any dimpling, discharge. changes in the nipple and retraction of the nipple, and any bulge seen. So all these have to be looked for monthly for all the women in your family. Also, you should tell. It's very important. And next to that is a after the clinical breast examination is the next test. We advise this, recommend this once in a year when you do health checkup. Please go and meet the doctor and ask the doctor to do clinical examination of the breast. And third is mammography. Mammography is radiation mammography. We recommend this only after 50 years routinely, and for after 40 years for those people who have a strong family history. Otherwise, if an individual has any lump, any suspicion, or just with the clinical examination, we do ultrasonomammography. But if we need to do mammography, younger patients less than 50, we normally prefer what is called as MRI mammography. MRI mammography is little costly test, and and government doesn't cover it as an outpatient basis. So, but we have to do it ourselves when it is needed. So we use this MRI mammography very cautiously. Next is in breast cancer, you also have to know about BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes. So this is familial cancer wherein, let us say, sister or a mother or aunt is suffering from a breast cancer. This is a first degree direct relative. If they're suffering from cancer, then we advise them to do this BRCA gene test. So we know Angelina Jolie did a BRCA test, and we do know that she had a very high risk of developing cancer, and she removed her actual breast tissue but retained her nipple and skin tissue and has put an implant. But it is impossible for to do in our country. First of all, BRCA gene test also can be very expensive, and secondly, is doing this surgery not acceptable so much. And thirdly, another reason is that there are associated cancers with BRCA genes being positive, like colon cancer and ovarian cancer. So what will you do for that? Anyway, I have to screen. So I as well can screen for breast cancers routinely and regularly. This is what we try to do in our setup in India, especially. And screening recommendation, as I told you, all of us have to do breast scan, self breast examination, meet the doctor from the age of 21 is preferable, because we are seeing cancers in even young patients. Okay, after 50, I recommend that we do mammography every 3 years, but we can do ultrasonogram, because nowadays we have a very good ultrasound scans which can pick up early breast cancers. Next, till now I spoke about breast cancer. Now I'll take you through cervical cancer. What is a cervix? Cervix is nothing but a lower part of the womb, which is known as the uterine cervix. Okay, and this main function of this uterine cervix is to hold the baby during pregnancy. Also, it has some secretory functions, which is very helpful to keep the area very well lubricated. And other than these two functions, it doesn't have any major functions. But if the cervical cancer happens before 35, 40, which is happening in a lot of patients in Western countries and in India also, then the fertility is getting affected. So this is the reason we have to be aware of this. We all know that cervical cancer is purely because of an infection called human papillomavirus, which is a sexually transmitted disease. Let us say a woman gets exposed to human papillomavirus by the age of 15 or 16 or 18, which is very common early sex these days. If you get exposed to this virus in an early stage, there is a good chance within 15 years the woman is likely to develop cervical cancer. This is the reason you have to be really aware of your sexual activity, and to have a healthy activity is very, very important. So this human papillomavirus, once it is in the body, it doesn't over in one day, it doesn't grow into cancer. So the normal cervix with the infection, it will go into abnormality called low grade cervical intraepithelial neoplasia, that is precancerous neoplastic condition. Low grade, it will be like slowly it is changing the normal cells into abnormal cells due to virus infection. Then it becomes high grade, means the cells become very abnormal and start proliferating, and they become a little thicker, and next they become cancerous cells. This is how they keep growing, and they become cancer. So what we should be aware of in cervical cancer is any unusual vaginal discharge, abnormal bleeding if it is present, heavier, longer menstrual cycle, discomfort while urination and urine sex, if there is a pain in the during intercourse, we have to be aware of these things. Okay, unexplained weight loss could be because of cervical cancer. So by doing a routine cervical screening with a pap smear, there is 70% reduction in the cervical cancer deaths. We should know this because, as I said, we can pick up cervical intraepithelial neoplasia at an early stage. We can just burn that abnormal changes that have happened, and then patient's fertility is also maintained. Let us say if there's high grade neoplasia, then we do what is called as conization, remove the whole of the cervix, but her fertility may get affected in such situations. So, but if already cervical cancer is coming, then you have to operate the patient, right? So then there is loss of fertility at that time, complete. Okay, 5-year survival rate, if you detect it in an early stage or in a pre-cancer condition, is more than 92%. So how do we screen women for cervical cancer? Less than 21 years, no screening is needed. 21 to 30 years, pap smear every 3 years. 30 to 65 years, pap smear every 3 years, or pap smear with human papillomavirus test every 5 years. Above 65 years, no screening is needed because cervix goes into atrophy, and so we don't have to screen for cervical cancer. How do we do screening? One is pap smear, and we also do something called video assisted iodine staining of the cervix. So this can really pick up changes in the cervix itself by just looking at it. And also, is there a way we can do prevention of cancer? Because now prevention of cancer is coming up in a big way. And we also started a foundation called SPOC Foundation, Society for Prevention of Cancer. This we are going to focus a lot on preventing cancers through this society. And we know that cervical cancer can be prevented with cervical cancer vaccination, and it is marketed in our country as Gardasil, Gardasil 9. And we recommend this before starting the sexual activity itself. But later, we recommend even for pregnant women. A lot of gynecologists are giving this vaccination now. In safe sex, it can be practiced. Next, I'll take you through oral cancers. As I said, oral cancer is also very common in our country, especially in India. I'm sure you all have seen this advertisement of Akshay Kumar, that husband is smoking and doesn't have money for his wife also for basic needs. And he doesn't care. So, but he smokes a lot, and later they're developing oral cancers. So oral cancers can come due to smoking or eating a curd or bitter nut in an oral cavity, and also human papillomavirus. It is proven recently the oral sex with human papillomavirus infection can cause oral cancer. So how do these oral cancers manifest? With a white patch or a red patch or a lesion, ulcerated lesion in the oral cavity. But there are certain precancerous conditions in the oral cavity that can come as a white patch or red patch. These are also precancerous condition, or they can come with the fixation of the tongue because of the fibrosis in the oral cavity due to chewing of the pan and tobacco. And there can be non-healing ulcers and reduced mouth opening. So for them, those who have suspicion of the developing oral cancers, or if they have already precancerous conditions with white patch in the oral cavity, then we have to do a routine every year oral examination, and only biopsy is done when you're only suspecting cancer. And most important is to avoid smoking and tobacco chewing to prevent oral cancer. Next is also esophageal cancer. Esophageal cancer in our state, we see it in North Karnataka. Esophagus is nothing but a tube that is from the oral cavity to stomach, that connects that. It's just a long tube with a squamous epithelium in it. And so we see this in people who eat a lot of spicy food in North Karnataka and salted foods. And salted fish is known to be one of the reasons in Japan for esophageal cancers. And patients can, when there is esophageal cancer, they can be having difficulty in swallowing and recurrent indigestions. So you should not neglect these two symptoms. The lower esophagus has got the epithelium is different over there, and shift in the epithelium is called Barrett's esophagitis, which is a precancerous condition. This can happen due to reflux of the acid. So if you have gastroesophageal reflux disease, please meet the doctor to get it corrected. Gastroesophageal reflux these days is also due to certain food intolerances. Avoid some gassy foods, probably your acid will come down. Okay, and stop overeating at a time, filling your stomach. So acid reflux can reduce, because that is also one of the precancerous condition with the risk for breast cancer. Sorry, risk for lower esophageal cancer. Next is one second. Uh, Next is lung cancer. So I'm actually taking you through all the cancer a bit by bit, little bit. So I know you may feel suddenly cut off from one organ to the other organ, and you can always ask me questions if you have anything about that. And lung cancer is, yes, common reason for lung cancer is smoking, but one of the cancers can also be sometimes genetic, and but most often it is smoking that causes cancer. And nowadays we also know there's a lot of pollution. There may be a lot of highly irritant cells formation in the lungs itself that can lead to cancers. So who should we consider for cancer? People at high risk for cancer, developing breast cancer, is 50 to 80, and this lung cancer is a common cause of cancer deaths in our country right now. So uh, so what we should do is we have to screen all people between the age of 50 and 80 regularly. So we do know that, and all the people who take cigarettes more than 10 a day, they have to be screened regularly, chest x-rays, and look for any nodule formation. And any chronic cough, coughing out blood, changes in the voice, chest pain, shortness of breath should not be neglected. Meet the doctor. Very, very important. Colorectal cancer is next one I'll speak to you. We know that eating less fiber food, okay, all gassy foods is known to cause colon cancer, because colon cancer is not developing overnight, and it is common. One is, yes, there is a hereditary cancer also in colorectal cancer, but that comes in a very young age group. So the colorectal cancer that comes after 55, after 50s, is due to diet that you maintained over a period of 20 years. So blood in the stool, feeling of being bloated, change in the bowel habit, constipation, anemia, you should never neglect, because you should always look for colorectal cancer. If there is anemia, also a lot of we all recommend for colonoscopy in these patients to look for the reason for bleeding, because it can cause slow bleeding and iron deficiency, and that can happen. So colon cancer, as I said, it is developing over a period of time. That is from adenoma polyp to colon cancer. Adenoma polyposis sequence we call it. So to develop adenocarcinoma in colon. So colonoscopy every year after 50 years is definitely recommended in high risk patients. Every 3 years is recommended for low risk patients. It is a must. So all people, everyone who is above 50, always please do colonoscopy once in 3 years. Okay, if there is a risk of polyp already present, once you're treated for some polyp, then you can do the screening every year in such patients. Okay, so how to prevent colon cancer is basically just by diet. Okay, so we will discuss about the diet later, how diet also prevents cancers overall. Also in certain areas also I will discuss to you. And colorectal cancer screening also can be done by something called a fecal occult blood test, and digital examination. If there is in the rectum any tumor is present, we can look for it. Okay, next is we're going to take you through prostate cancer. So what is this prostate? Prostate is an organ that is present around the urethra, in the pelvis, deep in the pelvis, just below the bladder. And prostate cancer is more common only in men above 50 years, but in below also sometimes it can come. And when we do health checkup for people above 50 years every year, we do certain blood test, that is prostate specific antigen and LDH test, just to see if they could be, because these are called tumor markers also sometimes. Like for colon cancer, we do what is called as carcinoembryonic antigen, because this is also useful for follow-up of the patients. So and very rarely we see young men with the prostate cancer. And chronic prostatitis is known to be one of the precancerous condition to develop prostate cancer, and it is very well treatable if you detect early, though it is curable totally. This is the reason you have to keep yourself screening for it. So any trouble in urination, decreased force in the stream of urine, blood in the semen, discomfort in the pelvic area, bone pain, erectile dysfunctions, you have to always approach the urologist to evaluate you if you could be having any tumor in the pelvis. Okay. Now, I took you through certain organ specific cancers, how they can come and what can happen. I'm not going to take you through many other cancers that can happen in our body, like lymphomas and blood cancers that can happen. But because there is no end to talking each type variety of cancers. But I will now talk to you about cancer prevention. Good lifestyle definitely can prevent cancer. How is this? So, how diet can prevent cancer? How exercise can prevent cancer? How good sleep can prevent cancer? How healthy mind can prevent cancer? So, we all know that round the clock, our body, some parts of the body cells are continuously producing and dying, especially on the skin, in the colon. Colonocytes are multiplying, they're dying in the bone marrow. So some organs are meant to be multiplying round the clock in all our body, but they're all graded, means they have certain influence to multiply and die after some time. But in that process of multiplication and death, there can be a mistake in some of these cells. These are called mutations. These mutations that happen are recognized by our own body immune system and they're killed. So we call this immunity, cancer immunology, we call it. So with our own body immune system, we can kill our cancer cells. Is there any other way we kill our own cancer cells? Yes. It has been one of the Japanese scientists 2 years back got Nobel Prize for saying that when you do intermittent fasting in a regular biological pattern, that is known to prevent cancers, which is very well proven, because from ancient days, our ancestors were following fasting as one of the methods of preventing many diseases and being healthy. Now, he proved that, it can prevent cancer. How is that? That is because one is by fasting, basically, you need so much nutrients, right? So you have to take that nutrients from your own body. When you fast, there is no food in your intestine. So your body has to take nutrients from our own body. In the process, it is known to kill abnormal cells first. Then it takes the fat cells from our body. The abnormal cells kills. In that abnormal cell killing, it might kill the cancer cells also, or precancerous cells also, abnormal cells also. So this is what is happening. So one is by fasting with a particular pattern, we can prevent cancer. We got to know that. Okay. Now, how diet plays a big role. I will talk to you because a good diet, which we call it antioxidant diet, which has all the nutrients in it, and it is juicy because we call it Sattvic diet in our Bhagavad Gita. It was called Sattvic diet. So it does say that if you eat sattvic food, your mind is calm, your body is calm, and you are better. So if your mind is calm, that means your immunity that is coming from the brain is going to be great. Means with the diet, you're going to improve the brain immunity. Okay. And another immune system is coming from the gut system. So with the good diet, you're going to improve the gut immunology, gut immune system. So what is this gut immune system? See, having good organisms, good probiotics in the gut, not having gas, not having bloating, not having irritable bowel syndrome, then we call it a good gut system. So that means if you eat antioxidant diet, your stomach is also calm, your mind is also calm, you're not bloated, you're not acidic, you're not irritated. Whereas let us say you eat foods that contains a lot of toxins or oxidants. Okay, toxins as in the food that produces the gas, we call it oxidant diet. Like for example, you eat maida, besan, and too much of fried items, bakery items. If you eat, so what happens? It is breaking into gas. Okay, pakoras, bhaji in the evening you all eat, right? And too much of red meat if you're eating. These can produce certain oxidants, and the broken oxidants can irritate our intestinal epithelium, and they can irritate, they can enter the circulation, they can take away all our raw material that is needed for our own immune system, because body has to detoxify all these oxidants. Okay, and it also locally irritates, as I said, and it may give you certain abnormal proteins, it may also give you certain toxins in the body, and so the diet can play a big role in preventing cancer. So what are the good diets? Good diets are very in Bhagavad Gita it says juicy food, like a lot of fruits and vegetables and rice is a better food than eating too much of bread, meat, okay, red meat especially. And also imagine what else you're bringing to your own body with the diet. Let us say all the preserved food which may have chemicals in it. Okay, we don't know what chemical is causing what. Okay, we all know, we keep reading different articles, there is no established proof. You and me, both of us say, and we go and pick up something and we eat and we drink. So but we do know some chemicals and toxins can affect our body, and also foods can contain pesticides and chemicals, because nowadays everything is not organic food. So the pesticides and chemicals that can come through food to our body can do a lot of damage. And pesticides and chemical containing food nutrient value is also very low. So the vitamins that we need may be very, very low in that. So this is the reason what can happen is the raw material needed for our immune system is also reduced. Okay, because you are eating bad foods that doesn't contain enough nutrients. Also, you have a lot of gas, clotting formation, and also you are not provided with good quality nutrients also that was required. Now, other thing is hormones, the external hormones. Like I said, milk, even animal foods, they can contain a lot of hormones. They can come and damage many of your organs. We don't know what they're doing still. We do not have any established literature, but we are seeing a lot of people with chronic diseases. So we attribute it to one of these directly and indirect methods, we are able to attribute it. Okay, so fruits, vegetables is very good for us, liquidy foods and soups, salads, made of vegetables, fruits is very, very good. What does maida do? Maida can stick to your intestine, and also can, the the villous surface, no, it sits on that, it increases the growth of bad organisms beneath. So it may change the gut organisms. So a lot of people are nowadays saying, oh, gluten allergy, I have a lot of gluten allergy, I can't eat maida, wheat. So you should avoid maida, it's very, very important. And eat more of fruits, vegetable, whole grains, legumes such as beans. And our diet should be mostly plant based, which is very good. Antioxidant diet is very good. Limit consumption of red meat is all I can say. And also fried fruits, processed foods should be avoided. And salted foods and pickles can cause stomach irritation and stomach cancer. That should be avoided. And do not. Next is, this is about diet that I spoke. I think I covered most of it. Next is cancer prevention by preventing smoking. How do I stop smoking? Biggest problem, right? Because I have developed, a smoker has developed a center in the brain for happiness only by nicotine stimulating it. So we have a lot of happiness centers. These are all in the primitive part of the brain. So these happiness centers are developing in the brain for nicotine itself, that only can stimulate and causes excessive happiness. We all know certain things make us happy. Watching some nice movie can make us very happy because that stimulates primitive part of the brain. Eating some good tasty food can stimulate. So these are all primitive reflexes in our body. So how do I stop smoking? Only way is either we have to change some of our basic cognitive functions by rewarding ourselves. That I stop smoking, I will reward myself, because you should know with smoking your lifespan will come down by 20-30 years. You all should know that. It is very, very important. Okay. So this is how you have to gift yourself, or you have to make some other happy things to suppress this happiness set. That is, change some of your habits, go for some new hobbies. Okay, so do that, maybe that is very helpful. Okay, uh, so this is how smoking, we already spoke about how smoke can cause so much damage in our body. So smoking has to be stopped. It's very, very important. That only can, motivation can come only from within your own body. Okay, because it can damage so many organs. Next is exercise. So it's funny how exercise can prevent cancer. You all must be thinking, one, yes, of course, it will reduce obesity, but what else it will do? Exercise will increase the blood supply to all musculoskeletal system in our body. Okay, so what is this? It is like cleansing our system, all the system. By doing exercise, you're pushing and pulling and you're squeezing and crushing different organs in our body. Okay, so there are two types of exercises. One is aerobic exercise and anaerobic. Aerobic exercise and the low metabolic exercise. Aerobic is fast exercise that you do. You all do running, jogging, and treadmill. So this is a fast exercise where you sweat in a short time. You burn high calories. Okay, this burning requires actually basically sugar. Whereas in low metabolic exercise, it's a very slow exercise. Take it as yoga. Yoga is one of the low metabolic exercise. Weightlifting is another low metabolic exercise. Boxing is another low metabolic exercise. In yoga, you also do your own body weightlifting. So this low metabolic exercise is, what does it do? It basically uses intercellular fat. Okay, and it also actually bring the organs in some different position in different directions. Like if you say yoga, you put your head down, right? So a lot of your body is distracted mechanically and physically. Okay, mechanically it is distracted, so it improves the circulation in certain areas which was not very well, and it improves the lung functions. The yoga also includes pranayama and breathing. So with combination of all this, the fat loss is very very high, and also it has many other benefits of improving your immune system. It keeps you calm, and it also keeps your gut calm. It takes out a lot of gas from your body, and it improves the detoxification of your body also by doing exercise. So it basically cleanses your body, I would say. You make yoga a routine, very very important. If you do yoga a routine, yoga or exercise a routine, then it is better, because it is like, see, we take bath to clean our body, we brush to clean our teeth. Similarly, we should also cleanse our body by doing exercise. So that's very important. Okay, also it distresses your body also by doing exercise. So make it a routine. That is what is my message with exercise. Are there next is stress. As I said, stress can cause cancer. We all know, like a lot of patients, some husband would have died, some sons would have died accidentally. After 1 or 2 years, they come with sometimes breast cancer, some other cancers in the body, and they tell doctor, 1 year back, 2 years back, like somebody died very close. She's always worried about it. So what stress causes is it disturbs the sleep, it causes muscular spasm in our body, it takes away immune system in our body itself, it takes away capacity to take out the abnormal cells in our body. So maybe the initiated cells progression is increased, and also maybe with stress people are not eating enough nutrients on time, and there's like they're worried all the time, so that can take away a lot of nutrients in the brain also. The happy hormones in the brain is also taken away. So how do you manage stress? Accepting the problem that is there as it is. Okay, that's very helpful. And the pranayama yoga can also help in stress management, and also certain development of positive attitudes towards life itself in certain ways, also that can help in stress management. So overall, diet, that is part of our lifestyle, exercise being a part of our lifestyle, and good sleep, and keeping our mind attitude positively can prevent cancer. Primarily we prevent cancers by reducing the modifiable risk factors. Secondary prevention can happen by early detection and treatment, and lifestyle modifications can really help you a lot. So this is my message is that change your lifestyle to prevent cancers. Thank you. Go back to the chat box. Yeah, here's the chat box. Oh yeah, only one question said, never smoked in my life. I have lung cancer. Yeah, the question here that is being asked is, I never smoked in my life. There is something called passive smoking. That could be one reason in your case. The other could be some genetic change that has happened in your body, so which can happen in any part of the body. If, unfortunately, it has happened in your lung, that has caused cancer, I must say. And genetic change sometimes can be inherited also, and can cause lung cancers. Lung cancer is third stage. Yeah, see, lung cancer in early stages can be curable with the surgery, but in advanced stages now we do have a better methods of cyberknife therapy and targeted therapy. Targeted chemotherapies are available, which can improve the longevity of cancers. Yeah. If you see, chemotherapy basically affects all fast-growing cells in our body. Fast-growing cells means the gut cells, intestine cells, the hair. Hair is also fast-growing cells, and the skin, basically, and also bone marrow. So, also cancer cell. Cancer cell is nothing but a fast-growing cell, and it is specifically affecting cancer cell, but it has some side effects of affecting all the fast-growing cells. So the skin cells, the hair cells, and the colon cells. That's why your counts also will be regularly, routinely monitored. The so, I mean, the bone marrow cells it can affect. So similarly, it causes hair loss, but this is reversible completely. Hair loss is completely reversible. All changes that happen due to chemotherapy, to great extent, are reversible. Can you read that? Because I should have got my specs actually. I have to how does the chemotherapy works? And I have yeah. See, when we do targeted chemotherapy, then it is known to affect only that cancer cells, but some cancer cells do miss it. Because these are all not definitely not, though they are specific, chemotherapies are specific to the particular um, cancer cells, some can skip because they are resistant. So this is the reason the resistant cells, they should be observed. So we do a routine screening after even giving chemotherapy, radiotherapy, surgery, all the treatments we give for breast cancers. I'm basically a breast cancer surgeon. I'm not a medical oncologist, I'm a surgeon. But your medical oncologist can answer this question better. So chemotherapy basically targets the what is this question? Is the blood cancer curable? Okay. So chemotherapy basically targets the cancer cells as much as possible, but some cancer cells can skip it. Is blood cancer curable? Is another question that I'm getting. It depends on what type of blood cancer. We have what is called an acute myeloid leukemia, chronic myeloid leukemia, acute lymphocytic leukemia, chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Chronic lymphocytic leukemia, yes, it is definitely curable. Whereas AML, still not to so great therapies available, but survival is slightly better than before it used to be. But now we have, for blood cancers, we have something called bone marrow transplantation. That is for AML like blood cancer. We remove the whole blood cells from the body, and even the bone marrow, that is primitive cells that are the stem cells that are present in the bone marrow, all are killed with a very high dose of chemotherapy. And then once all cells are killed, we transplant the bone marrow. So then there's a good chance of survival, because that also has a lot of side effects, but still there is a chance of survival in blood cancer. Oh, thank you. Happy Women's Day. Happy Women's Day to all of you. And my lecture is not just for women, for others also, but if you notice, to women's cancer, I touched upon in detail.